And at the end of the film, after a period of separation, this man, this male character, will show up on her doorstep, and he will say, "I love you." And in that moment, the bells will ring, the music swells, and she opens the door and she's like, "Oh, I love you too," and all's forgiven. And the credits roll and it's happily ever after. No. But it's not. It's not happily ever after. It doesn't work that way. Hello and welcome to episode 1 of season 2 of Medusa's Mic. I am so excited that you have decided to join me again. Welcome back. You may have noticed from the intro that things are sounding a little bit different. And you'd be right, because the focus of Medusa's Mic has expanded just a little bit. In season 1, I focused exclusively on how to empower everyday people to stop sexual violence. And I still very much am passionate about that. But as someone who always tries to get to the core of things, because that's what I'm most interested in, like what's underneath all the stories we tell ourselves, I did some reflection and I decided that I wanted to expand our focus to look not just at that particular topic, but also to look at the other influencing factors that are surrounding that. And so what you're going to find in this season is I'll be talking about women, love, and power. And we will still be talking about domestic violence and sexual violence prevention, but we will be talking about a lot of other things that contribute to that problem and that also help to keep women small and stop us from having the beautiful love relationships that we all deserve and desire. So that's what we'll be doing a lot of in this season. I hope you continue to join me for our regular episodes. And without further ado, let's get into episode 1. All right. What I want to talk to you today about is how we develop our ideas about love and how they're not helping us to get the relationships that we really want. Let's start by, I want you to cast your mind back to the last time you heard a woman, and maybe that woman was you. I want you to remember the last time you heard a woman's voice say, "But I love him." And in that moment, she made that comment because he was hurting her at that time. He might have been disrespecting her. Maybe he was making sure he was unavailable emotionally, physically. Maybe he was being abusive in some way. Whatever the reason was, in that moment, she was reflecting on the relationship, and despite his behaviours, she was saying, "But I love him." Maybe he's left her and she's still saying, "Oh, but I love him." And in that one statement, she is excusing the behaviours that he's directed at her that are really hurtful and painful. She is excusing behaviours that may even be abusive. And certainly that happens too. We know that happens. Now, I don't have any judgment around the fact that women say this because, frankly, darling listener, I have said it myself too many times in too many connections with men in the past, and I have said it to excuse behaviours that I should not have excused. I have said it to dismiss behaviours that I should never have dismissed, and I said those words and they served as almost a get out of jail free card for that man. Because I loved him. Because you loved him. Isn't it interesting how we say that? And we use our lens of love, we use the lens of how we feel, and we put that over what we're seeing, we put that over his behaviours, and then we view his behaviours through that lens. We view it through the lens of how we feel about him. When actually what we really need to be doing is we need to be taking that lens away, taking our feelings out of the equation, which, is pretty freaking hard, I won't lie. But we would be much better served if we took away that lens of how we feel and just looked at the behavior that we are being subjected to and asked the question, is he showing love towards me? And you know what? In most of my personal instances, I don't know about yours, but in most of my personal instances that I can remember, was he behaving with love towards me in those moments? Hell no. No, he was not. He was doing the opposite of that. So think about that example for a minute. And I want to give you another one. And this one is probably painful for some of you. And I just want to give you a bit of a heads up. I'm going to talk about domestic violence here. When, at the moment in Australia, for example, it's 2024, on average around 2 women are being unalived by men in Australia every week. Every week. And unfortunately, that number does not seem to be going down. It's horrendous. What I find really interesting when we have these cases come up is invariably these women are killed by men. We know that. As women, we know that. It's not all men, but it's always men. Invariably, these women are killed by men, and very, very often, those men are men that the woman has, it's a man who has been in relationship with that woman at some point, whether currently or previously. And so often those men will claim that they either loved that woman in the past or they still love them now. And sometimes they'll even use that as the excuse for their behaviour. Oh, but I loved her and she was leaving me and I couldn't bear the thought of losing her. I loved her, but she did these things and made me respond in this way. And so he uses his ideas about what love is to excuse his behaviours that harm her. And look, it happens all the time. Like, it happens over and over and over again. And when I hear this, I'm just like, this is not what love is, right? This is not what healthy love is, that's for sure. In both of these examples, what I believe we're seeing is an unhealthy love narrative play out. And it's an unhealthy love story that we have absorbed through all different kinds of parts of our lives. I want to give you a couple of ways that this happens. The first one is the stories that we are told about what love is. And you only have to watch film, Netflix, to see how many unhealthy love stories we are fed and that are normalised for us. And one thing that really irritates me, it's just, oh my God, if you know me personally, you will know that this pisses me off so much. It's that so often in these love stories that we see played out on our screens, rom-coms, great love stories, is that the man will behave appallingly towards the female character for a lot of the film. He will disrespect her. He will compete with her in the workplace. He will lie. He might cheat on her. He might try to control her. He might be jealous. He may not support her dreams. He may denigrate what she really wants to go for. will do all of these things, this male character, and yet she will fall in love with him. Despite this, right? Like despite these behaviors, she will fall in love with him. And at the end of the film, after a period of separation, this male character will show up on her doorstep, and he will say, "I love you." And in that moment, the bells will ring, the music swells, and she opens the door and she's like, "Oh, I love you too," and all's forgiven. And the credits roll and it's happily ever after. No. But it's not. It's not happily ever after. It doesn't work that way. And what we're seeing in this particular scene, like right at the end, when he's done all these behaviors that are so unhealthy, that are so destructive and disrespectful towards her and towards this connection that they have, he shows up at the end, and the male character very rarely will ever say any of the following types of things. He won't say, "I'm really sorry. I recognize my behavior was really hurtful towards you, and that's not okay. I'm not okay that I did that. I am committing to do my absolute best to never, ever do that again, and I'm working on myself. And I understand that my behavior was not okay and that you deserved better, and that I hope you can forgive me and give me another chance to show you that I can be the man that you deserve and that you believe me to be, because I recognize that I am not that man right now, because clearly my behaviors have shown that I am not the man that you are seeing." Now, I'm sure a screenwriter out there could write that so much better than me. Not questioning that. But do we see those male characters being accountable? No. Do we see them saying, "Look, I've done this self-reflection and blah, blah, blah"? No. Do we see them committing to never, ever doing those behaviors again? No. We don't see this on the screens. What we see is them showing up saying, "I love you," and the woman in that moment saying, "Well, that's enough. That's all I need." Him saying, "I love you," is regarded as being enough, because in that moment he chooses to be with her, right? That's another bit of it too, isn't it? The whole choosing. But it's not enough. We're conditioned to believe it's enough. And one of the ways we're conditioned to believe it's enough is because we do see these stories play out over and over and over again. Like, I can think of many, many films that I've seen in my life, and I'm sure you can as well, where that exact storyline has played out. And him loving her is regarded as being enough. And she looks at his behavior through the lens of her feelings of her love and excuses the other stuff that's gone before, and that's okay. But it's not okay, and that's not how it works. And I've got to tell you right now, I firmly believe this is one of the reasons why we are not getting the relationships we desire and deserve. We are not getting healthy love relationships, because this dynamic is being shoved down our throats from birth through all kinds of stories on social media, in film, and even in our books. These stories are being shoved down our throats, and they become embedded, conditionally, with this conditioning in the back of our minds. They become embedded and normalised. And we think that's what it's supposed to be. But honey, I got to tell you, that's not healthy love. You deserve healthy love. Healthy love is about accountability. It's about having the courage to look at yourself and acknowledge when you have fucked up, when you have hurt someone you really care about, when you own it and you say to them, "I fucked up, I'm owning it, I am sorry I hurt you, I'm doing my absolute best to never do it again, I am working on myself, will you please make room for me to show that to you, to prove that to you." But we don't see that. And so I think really that contributes in many ways to us accepting behaviours that are not okay. it contributes in many ways to us looking at relationships through this lens of love, of how we feel, and using it to excuse behaviours that we're on the receiving end of that are not in our best interests. And on the flip side of that, for men, if men are receiving these stories as well, they are not receiving any stories about accountability either. The information they're receiving is that you can be an ass, you can be disrespectful, and all you have to do at the end is show up and say, I love you, and she'll forgive you. And that's the only work you need to do. It's not even work, is it? It's like a free pass. And so if men are getting that message repeatedly from birth through so many parts of our public discourse, then that's going to influence how they view relationships, how they view love, and how they view their responsibilities within those connections with women. Do I think this is the complete answer why men are doing so much harm to so many women? No. But I think it's an influencing factor, just like I think it's an influencing factor on why so many times in my life I said, but I love him. And I just was so desperate to have him back because I loved him despite the really awful behaviours I had been subjected to by him, despite that, he had shown me that he did not care for me in a healthy way. His behaviours were not healthy towards me. So I think that's definitely one element. But of course, this is just all my opinion. You may disagree. You may think that I have no idea what I'm talking about. And you're right. But I am speaking from having seen this play out so many times. And we need to stop doing it. Also, there's the fact that when you are in any relationship, if that relationship is not healthy for you to be in, then you deserve to be able to leave to go find a healthy relationship with someone else, or even just to have a healthier relationship with yourself because you are now not in that unhealthy environment, right? You deserve that too. I think that's really important because healthy love isn't just about how we connect with others. It's also about how we connect with ourselves in healthy ways, right? If we have a healthy love relationship with ourselves, that means we are more likely to have things like healthy boundaries. It means we are more likely to be able to stay grounded when we come into connection and intimacy with someone else, and then we're more likely to be able to take that little bit of distance, remove that prism of how we feel, that love prism away from our eyes. We're more likely to be able to do that and to be able to conduct a healthier assessment for ourselves around, is this person behaving in a healthy way towards me? Are my behaviours right now healthy towards myself and also towards this other person? Is this a healthy love relationship? Is this healthy? And you know what? I firmly believe that if we start asking that question, it changes everything. Because suddenly, instead of looking at behaviours and just accepting them as normal, because it's what we've learned is normal, and maybe it was normal where you grew up, and maybe it's normal in your community, and maybe it's normal because you see it on the screens all the time and celebrities and social media and whatever, you think that's normal. But if you start asking, hang on, is that healthy for me? It puts a whole different lens on it. And it is also an invitation for you to go much deeper in yourself and do a lot more self-exploration about what is healthy for you. Because also, it's going to be different for every person. There are going to be, I think, some fundamentals that should be in there, like respect and boundaries. I think those two are non-negotiables, to be honest, in any healthy relationship. In any healthy love dynamic, respect and boundaries, I think that they're critical. I absolutely do. You'll have a whole lot of others, but I think they're really two critical starting points that need to be in the foundation stones of our relationships if we want them to be healthy for ourselves and in connection with others. Okay. Well, I wasn't 100% sure on where this conversation would take me today. I had written myself a few notes beforehand, but I think we've covered quite a lot. And I'm really looking forward to having more of these conversations with you over the coming weeks and months and years. This is the second season of Medusa's Mic, and I am intending to have many more seasons after this one. If you found today's episode helpful, insightful, maybe it made you think about things a little bit differently, please let me know. Put a comment, send me a message, put a comment under this if you're watching it on YouTube, because this season all of my episodes will be going on YouTube as well as via your usual podcast apps. Like, subscribe, share it with a friend, do all the things, send me a review, all the things that will help to get the word out so we can help each other and ourselves to create healthier love relationships, because we absolutely all deserve them and we desire them. And I think we should. And if you have any questions about any of these topics that I cover, women, love, power, please send them to me and I can hopefully start to answer some of those in the podcast as well. Anyway, until next time, thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I'm sending you lots of healthy love and I look forward to chatting with you again really soon. Bye for now.
Thanks so much for your company today. If you feel more informed or empowered after listening to this podcast, please leave us a review or share this episode with a friend or family member. The music for today's podcast is brought to you by Dima Chisco from TuneTank. The opinions and perspectives offered on Medusa's Mic are solely those of the interviewer and her guests. They are our expressed personal opinions and views. They are not intended to replace any treatment or advice you may be receiving from a licensed professional. If you have specific concerns or a situation in which you require professional, psychological, medical, or legal help, you should consult with an appropriately trained and qualified specialist. This episode is copyright protected and should not be reproduced in any form without express permission from the Medusa's Mic founder and host, Lucretia Ackfield.